Hello everyone and welcome to another video. As you can see from the title, this is my top 10 favorite fragrances, or top 10 fragrances for fall. Now, a little bit of warning beforehand. I'm cheating a little bit. There's more than 10 fragrances that are in this list, so I apologize, but I'm going to go ahead and mark, as I usually do, the places for each one in the video. Alright? So, before we get started, let me also cover my disclaimers as before. Number one, this is my top 10 list. This is nobody else's top 10 list. This is not a magazine's. This is not a top 10 compilation like I usually do. This is my top 10 fragrances that I plan on wearing for fall. It has a little bit of an addendum in it. There's one or two fragrances in there that is going to be quote unquote my experiment for it. Actually, one fragrance that's going to be my experiment for it that I haven't really worn for fall, but I figure it's actually going to be a very nice fragrance to wear for fall. So when I come to it, I'll go ahead and mention it. Two, what I consider fall. I'm from the New York City area. It's in fall for me is anywhere between usually around 70 to 50, 40 degrees basically. So it can get a little bit warm, it can get a little bit colder. Really depends on the year on how warm or cold it gets. So this year, it hasn't really, it's just started to cool down actually now. So the temperature today is, I believe, like 70. So, well, what is the temperature today? Today is, they changed around the iOS 7. Sorry, I would have grabbed the temperature, but I think it's like around 70, 65 basically right now. So there you go, right? Those are the temperatures that I'm dealing with and what I consider fall. So if you're anywhere else in the world and you're looking for fragrances, just kind of keep those temperatures in mind. Those are Fahrenheit, by the way, for what I consider fall. All right? Well, obviously Fahrenheit, but either way. All right? So with that, let us go ahead and get started into this list. I have two honorable mentions. Now, these aren't really honorable mentions. I put them outside of the top 10 just because I use them in tandem. And I kind of felt it was cheating to kind of throw them in the top 10, but here they are. These are two fragrances that I wear, one during the day, usually when I go to work, and one at night. And they come from the same house, so I decided to put them together. So the first one is L'Homme, basically. L'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent. It is this spicy, a little bit of an appley type of a smell to it. Has a very nice, pleasant smell. It's not too overbearing, not too overpowering, and it does extremely well for work for me. When I come home at night and when I go out, usually by that time this has kind of gone down, and I usually take a shower anyway, and that's when I apply its twin or its flanker, La Nuit de l'Homme, basically, the Night of the Man. This one, more powdery, a lot more sensual, a lot more projection-wise, it has a lot more there. It is much better suited for the night, for going out, and that's why I kind of use these in tandem. And I use them specifically in fall. So it's not uncommon to see me wearing this during the week, you know, at work and then right after work. These two in tandem, they work beautifully together for that purpose, right? Yves Saint Laurent, L'Homme, and La Nuit de l'Homme. The next fragrances on my list are another tandem, and they come from the house of Christian Dior. Dior's Dior Homme, and this is Dior Homme Intense, right? So these two fragrances I use in tandem as well. This one I wear going to work, and this one I wear going out. For those of you who don't know, I work as a product manager. I have a little bit, I guess you could say mid-management, if you will, mid to upper management, and so I usually dress pretty nice. Unless it's like a Friday where I kind of go a little bit casual, I usually dress nice. So by nice, I mean slacks, you know, tie. Sometimes I'll wear the full suit, depends what I'm actually wearing, but these two I usually go for it. Now, I'm a little bit more careful on the trigger for this one. This one has a little bit more projection that I would like from work fragrances, but it still does well in the work, right? So again, this one I wear at work and this one I wear at night. They both kind of have this deep cocoa, iris, lipstick type of a vibe to it that may sound weird for those of you who haven't tried it, but trust me, it works beautifully. I had the same, you know, preconceptions as everyone else mostly that first heard about the fragrance. A fragrance that smells like lipstick? Come on, get out of here. I'm not going to be wearing something like that. Until you actually try it, and, you know, you have to look no further than across all of YouTube and see that it has changed many a person's opinion. Never judge a fragrance by its description, all right? So these two fragrances, Dior Homme and Dior Homme Intense. Now, let's get into the top 10 list. Again, those were not really honorable mentions, but I kind of stuck them outside just because they're pairs, and I felt guilty of throwing them in, right? So at number 10, we have a fragrance that I've always liked, I've always felt has done excellent for fall, extremely highly versatile, from the house of Dolce & Gabbana, Dolce & Gabbana's Pour Homme. Now, I personally love this scent. I believe this has been reformulated, but either way, I love it. It's got this tobacco, this slightly tobacco-y-ish type of vibe. It's highly versatile, has a little bit of floral notes, has a little bit of citrus. It's kind of going a whole bunch of directions without at the same time really committing to any specific direction. And that's really what I love about Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. I first wore this in the fall, so this is etched in my brain for the fall, and it really projects this nice little aura for it. So definitely something that you want to take a look at. At number 10, Dolce & Gabbana's Pour Homme. At number 9, here's a fragrance that I've never had in my rotation because I have notoriously not liked this fragrance. Thought that it was okay, but as of recent, after testing it around, after doing a review for it, I thought, this fragrance isn't that bad. It's actually pretty good. And as I kind of got more of a sense to it, I figured, this would actually suit the fall very, very well. So let's see how it does. And so that's why it's on this list right now at number 9 on something that I plan on wearing. And that is Fahrenheit by Christian Dior. Yes, Fahrenheit, the original, the classic. For those of you, who see a different type of bottle, this is actually the old bottle for it. I happened to buy it online, and they sent me the old bottle for it. So this is prior to formulations, whatever, the original, whatever. But this one, Fahrenheit, it has this petroleum type of a vibe to it. If you don't know what it smells like, I've got a review on this floating around out there somewhere else. Take a look at it. It is definitely something that I feel is going to do excellent in the fall. And so I'm going to go ahead and try it. All right? Fahrenheit. Number 8. This is a fragrance that many have personified as fall in a bottle, and I could not agree more. It smells like wet leaves. It has a little bit of spices going on to it. It is none other than Burberry's London. Burberry London, if you're looking for a fall fragrance, especially one that's within the affordable range, I would definitely say take a look at this fragrance. It really does smell like wet leaves. Wet leaves, a little bit of spices going on to it, has a perfectly fall vibe to it. The reason why it's not higher on my list is while I still say it's perfect for fall on that, I tend to get a little bit sick of Burberry London. It smells a little bit too much like fall, if you know what I mean. You really can't get away from the fall scent, and kind of beginning to outgrow it. In fact, you may not see this on my fragrance list next year, but I will be wearing it this fall, all right? Burberry London. Number 7. Number 7 on my list is a newcomer to the list. It's a Creed. It's a Creed that probably not many people are expecting, but has been doing excellent for me at work, and especially when it starts to get a little bit cooler. And that is none other than Creed's Tabaron. Yes, Tabaron Millésime. This has this, it's this fresh tobacco type of a vibe to it. Very professional, very elegant. It doesn't really stand out in terms of, if I was to rank the actual smell of Tabaron versus other Creeds, I found the other Creeds to smell much better, and right down the line. Green Irish Tweed, Millésime Imperial, Aventus, you name it, Virgin Island Water. I find that they all tend to smell better than this one. That's not to say that this smells bad, they just don't smell as good, which is why I think Tabaron gets overlooked with the Creed fragrances. That said, with a suit, dressed up really nice, Tabaron Millésime really fits the bill, really comes off making you, smell good, professional, and mature. That's what Tabaron Millésime gives, and that's why it is on my list at number 7. Tabaron Millésime, something that I wear during the fall, specifically for work. Number 6, one of my casual fragrances for it. And this is a fragrance that I've also done a review on from the house of Scent Story. It is 24 Gold. And 24 Gold, it has this raspberry, ambery, resin type of a fragrance. It is a sweet fragrance, first and foremost. It is a fragrance that really goes out and grabs people's attention, but it is very sweet, very sensual. It's a play fragrance for me. I try not to wear this to work because it's a little bit too sweet for work. But as far as going out, going out for drinks, going out to the bar, you name it, it is a great fragrance for those purposes. 24 gold, coming in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, another Creed. From the House of Creed, this has fallen a little bit down on my list, but from the House of Creed, we've got Creed's Royal Oud. Royal Oud is a fragrance that I wear in the fall for special occasions. It has the oud in this. If you're familiar with oud, oud's this dark type of a wood. It's, despite the fact that it's dark, it's a fragrance that doesn't really, it's a fresh oud. Almost all of Creed's fragrances are fresh, if not all of them are fresh, and they do oud the same way. It's got a little bit of spices into it. It has a primary woody vibe to it, but at the same time it does well. This is actually one that I consider an all-around fragrance, but I primarily wear this one during the fall or spring. So I kind of wear it during those transition months. All right, Royal Oud coming in at number 5. Yeah. Coming in at number 4, we've got a twin fragrances. I lied. I've got 2 fragrances, but the reason why I didn't stick this one outside of the list like I did La Nuit de l'Homme or like the Yves Saint Laurent fragrances and Dior Homme fragrances, it's because I don't wear this as a tandem. I choose one or the other, and I have a hard time choosing between them because I believe they're both equally as good. Terre Muglaise, Pure Malt, and Pure Havane. Love both of these fragrances. I feel they're great, excellent fragrances, especially for fall. Again, I wear these a little bit casually. Think of, chocolate. Think of, in this case, think of tobacco, cherry type of a vibe to it. Think of malt liquor type of a vibe to this, as well as chocolate. This is supposedly the original Angel Men, aged within within liquor barrels or within barrels or malt liquor barrels. This one, on the other hand, it's called Pure Havane. It's supposed to be reminiscent of a Cuban cigar, if you will. And they both have their interesting taste to it, interesting vibes to it, and I love them both equally. So that's why they're both at number 4. All right? Number 3. I lied again. There's 2 fragrances here, and I don't wear them in tandem. That's why they're here. But these ones, I actually, by tandem I meant one after the other. These 2 I actually mix at times. And I've just started to mix a little more from this specific line, and that is Tom Ford's. 2 Tom Ford's Oud Wood and Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. I sometimes wear these 2 alone in the fall, but I have been known to mix these 2 as well, and that's what I will be doing for it. Both very sensual, both 2 fragrances that I wear going out, especially when it's a nice time going out. They do excellent for that matter. These 2 fragrances have gotten me quite a bit of compliments, especially when I wear them together. It's a very manly, very sensual type of a fragrance that, when people come up to you, especially women, if they hug you, they're going to notice it. They're going to notice it, and it mixes extremely well with your sweat or with your body chemistry, believe it or not. So these 2 fragrances, Tuscan Leather. This one, Tuscan Leather, is a heavy, heavy, heavy leather. It is a very in-your-face leather. In fact, when I first smelled this one a couple of years ago, I did not like it. Same thing goes with Oud Wood. Oud Wood isn't as heavy as an oud, but it's definitely got that oud smell into it. It really is a sophisticated type of a wood. And both of these fragrances combined together just produce a beautiful smell. The Tuscan Leather really emanates to the surface, while the Oud Wood kind of sits below, and so you kind of get both of them. The Tuscan Leather leading the charge with the Oud Wood right behind it. So these 2 fragrances are at number 3 for me. Oud Wood and Tuscan Leather. Number 2, from the House of Bond number 9. I've thrown this in there. Love it. Resin, Plum. Bond number 9's Andy Warhol. I'm not sure if this bottle is still available because of some conflict that they had, I believe, with it. But either way, this one, I think it might actually be all silver now if you look for it. And it might be just called something. But either way, Bond number 9's Andy Warhol. It's plum. It's resin. A little bit. It's not too sweet. I was about to say very sweet, but it's not very sweet. It's just tiptoeing along the line of sweetness and sophistication, if you will. And that's why I love this one. The plum note is very unique in it. The resin, it doesn't really jump out and smack people in the face, but it's still there and people will smell you as you pass by. And that's kind of how I like my fragrances. So Bond number 9's Andy Warhol coming in at number 2. And number 1, Still remaining undisputed fall champion for me, Guerlain's Spiratu Dublu Vanille. Yes, what's to say about this fragrance? This fragrance is a deep, boozy, vanilla type of a smell. It's got a little bit of cinnamon type of a vibe, a little bit of spices going into it. Extremely potent, extremely potent. I mean, look at the bottle. I wear this one, and when it comes to the fall, I would say pretty decently, and I'm still only at here. Why am I still only at there? Because I generally only apply one spray, maybe 2 sprays, if I'm lucky with it. I've actually probably lost more to it, kind of transferring it around when I'm moving it, but either way, it's perfectly fine now. Spiratu Dublu Vanille, it's a scent that I absolutely adore. When I first smelled it from another reviewer, another good smell actually, named Luis, and he got me hooked onto it. When he was about to buy it, I smelled it and I thought, I gotta have this. Gotta have it. It's been in my collection ever since, and I absolutely love it. Fun note, I actually like this design better than the other designs that they have for this, but either way, it's fine. This isn't really a cap, by the way. But either way, this is my #1 fragrance, Guerlain's Spiratu Dublu Vanille. The king of vanillas as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely fantastic. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free. Send me a message, leave me a note, do whatever you gotta do. Thank you, take care of yourselves. And I'm interested in hearing what your top 10 or top fragrances for the fall are. Let me know what you're wearing. Let me know what you're doing with yourself, okay? So thank you, take care of yourselves, and have an excellent day.